Howdy, in this video I will be attempting to show you some of the new stuff we've been adding to the Bloom Core engine, which will obviously be used by the game Bloom Memories. Straight away you can probably see I am being attacked. We have some basic AI in, currently mostly placeholder, but it does function, and as you can see the enemy is firing arrows, which I will explain the excitement on that a little bit later. Secondly, you may notice, you may not notice, a big difference from before. We now have full gamepad support, and along with that 16 direction support for the animations, as opposed to the old 8 direction. This means the rotation is a lot smoother than it was. Looks very nice. As you saw there, it's still not perfect, but we do have better streaming. As you enter a new room, assets load and then fade in so they don't pop in. Looks a little bit worse than it usually does here, as I'm using some screen recording software, which is obviously pounding the hard drive right now. Hopefully final versions screen recording software won't be too problemsome. Next up, we have our editors. Pressing a key in the engine allows us to bring up the mob placer. What that does is lets us see which mobs are in this current room. Doesn't work fully, not all the details come across, but they do all save correctly. We can set things like time between their attacks, minimum amount of distance the player has to be for them to attack, maximum amount away, and we also have the event triggers, which is an all new system. So here we have some basic triggers. So this mob, if I was to touch it, it would then fire an event I pick, and there are quite a few of these now compared with before, and here the arguments go. If I move to a different room, there's a few more enemies. Here we go, bring up the mob placer, and here we can see we have 2 of the robots and a statue. The way our system works is that pretty much anything that's interactable is classed as a mob. Through the scripting we can make them aggressive, passive, stationary, and apply all sorts of funky scripting on them. Now the scripting is based on what's called an event chain. Events are simple little things such as fire projectile, resolve damage, change the act. So for instance, this statue here has 2 acts, one of idle, one of active. You could have an event trigger called touch, so when you touch it, it then fires the event of change act, and it would change from idle to active. And here we have the event chain editor. Now, if we open an event chain, you can see our scripting. I worked very hard on this. The idea was I don't want to be programming this. I want to make this easy enough so Danny can do this herself, and just generally let the game design control the scripting, rather than me as a programmer letting the scripting control the game design. As you can see, it's all very simple. We've got a show dialogue, setting values, importing the script. We've got some bit more in-depth stuff here. Simple logic stuff. If the game value of mission 1 rejected equals true, then go to mission rejected. Down here we've got mission rejected, and it will show this script. What we can do is we can actually run that, and we've run the script, and in this situation it's checked all these values, they're all false. It's then gone to mission begin, which is down here, which shows this test dialogue, and that leads us into, we now have a dialogue system. Not entirely complete. We want to combine the last page of text with the options, but if we quickly run through, please note that this is a test dialogue written by myself. This is nothing to do with the story, just to test the system. So here we can help the old woman out, or no, we can tell her to sod off. Right, in this case we'll say yes. If we now run the script again, nothing happens. Oh, we go. There we go. So, in this situation, the mission has been started, but it hasn't been completed. So it's failed on the completed, so it's then gone to the started, it goes to mission started, and this brings up this dialogue here. And the dialogue system is intelligent enough to realise there's no options, so continue would actually be close. Now if I can remember the button for it. Nope. There we go, we have a dialogue editor. So we select a dialogue. Dialogue. So let's pick test dialogue, which is the first one we saw. Now we turn this on. This I'm rather proud of. We move this over here. We can see the dialogue. If I delete that, you can see we have live updating of our dialogues, meaning we can get our text in really quickly and actually see what it looks like on the screen. Mostly to avoid things like where you get a page of text and then the next page you have just a single line. Oh, Danny has just signed in, there we go. And just generally make it feel nice. Here we can see there is a gap of 2 enters. If we do that here, that's our page break. We can then, boom, second page, we can see that this text here aligns with this text here because it has 2 line breaks either side. Nice and easy. We close the dialogue, close the screen. We also have the old map editor that's had minor upgrades. This room is not a great example of it as we haven't done it yet, and I crashed it. Fantastic. Right, start that again. Which is why we're not even at alpha stage yet. Oh, and there's a secret dubstep room, which is my test for some of the advanced systems. Right, if we go, I think, this room here, we can see, not greatly on this monitor unfortunately, which is where we map out the data. Your black ones are blocks, you can't walk through those. Green ones slow you down, and if I was to take a wander over to the river room, you'll see there we have water, which is very similar to a block, but with some slightly different rules. And here in this situation you can see I've put a slow here so you can actually squeeze through the river. That obviously won't be in the final. You'll need to use some of the in-game mechanics to allow you to get through the water but they're not there yet, so I've stuck that in. Actually, no, we'll keep the music on, bring it up a little bit in fact, so I can show you a nice new toy that's been helping development fantastically. We now have Developer Console. If you've ever used Quake, you're probably familiar with this. Hell, the Counter-Strike's peeps will know this too. This allows us to not only send commands but also get info on what the game's doing at the moment. If I close that, we actually have another version here, which is live update one, but still allows me full control of the game. As you can see, something here hasn't been scripted properly and it keeps trying to run the none command, which obviously doesn't exist. That's more of a flaw in the tool than the system, but if we go to a nice peaceful area, now the Developer Console actually uses the scripting system, so you can test out script theories very quickly. You can even run scripts through the event chain command, and there's also shortcuts such as SM will do set music, so I can do, I think it's test. Then you can hear the dynamic music. If I run set music without any, okay. Spelled that wrong, so test back to you can see the dynamic music fading between the two pieces of music. But since I'm talking, I shall go in and turn that down. Now, other than the character editor, which has had some massive upgrades, but I think that covers most of the new tech. Or you may notice as I walk, there are sound effects. The structure for that's in. Needs a lot more work, but it's there. We're starting to bring some life to it. And there we have the map system, which actually uses the thumbnail light maps from the game data to produce a map, which should, oh, I forgot M. It actually likes the maps based on whether you've seen them or not, and so on. And then I crashed it again. So there we go, that pretty much covers all of the funky new tools we've got in the Bloom Core engine. I will be doing a new video quite soon on the upgrades we've done to the character editor. Since my last post on that, we've done some pretty major changes, and there's about to be a few more, along with some changes to the event system, which should mean we approach an alpha build where we have a section of game that's completely playable. We're hoping to get that done before the end of the month. Fingers crossed. And we'll see how we get on. Thanks for watching.